Today I'm going to explain about multi-dimensional array. So what is multi-dimensional array? And there are three sections that I want to explain to you. The first is about two-dimensional list or array. In particular, I'm going to use list because list is one of the easiest data structure for showing about array. So I'm going to introduce the matrix and what kind of processing for the matrix. For example, how to access the data in the matrix, how to print the matrix, and then how to do further processing on matrices. And I'm going to also give you some examples how to use the two-dimensional list in array or in a function. So we are going to look at how we can execute two-dimensional array in the function. And the last section, I'm going to explain to you about the multi-dimensional list. Multi means more than two. I'm going to introduce some application that requires more than two-dimensional array. And at the end, let's do some exercise. Oh, by the way, I think I made one section. Okay, before the multi-dimensional list, let me get back to this practice. Yeah, we already looked at the library, which is the array library in Python. And this library works similar with this. So you know that the list use some kind of indexing, and then list also use slicing. And when we use an array, which is the library in Python, we also use this kind of indexing and slicing. And all the functions or the syntax are similar to the list. So when you do with the array library in Python, most of the syntax in the list work in the array. Okay. I'm just going to use list for this practice. Now the problem is we need to write a method. So the method means a function, and okay, there is a name, tally votes. This tally votes, this function accept a string parameter. So there is one parameter which is string, and print the number of ramyeon, tteokbokki, and odeng photos. Okay, so what does it mean? Let's suppose we have three characters, R, T, and O. We have a string, and the string variable name is vote text. We have the text like this one. What does it mean? Each character represent one voter or one person who vote the vote. For example, R. R means the first person, he or she wants ramyeon. The second voters, O. So the second person, he or she wants to eat odek. O. Then the third person, he or she wants to add odek. R, ramyeon. O, odeng. R, ramyeon, ramyeon, ramyeon. T, tteokbokki, and so on. Okay. Now, we want to know the number of ramyeon. It means I need to check how many are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there are 9 R. Let's do the method writing. What is the method for this tally votes? One parameter, which is a string, that is the vote text, will be in this argument, and you need to design this method. For this, I already make the function. Let's see this one. The tally vote, which is the name of the function, and we have one parameter. When you put the string, it will go to this parameter part. Now we have 3 kind of food: ramyeon, tteokbokki, and odek. It means I'm going to create at least 3 places or 3 space to save how many R, how many T, and how many O. Maybe the easiest one is you can create a variable. For example, I'm creating the variable ramyeon, and I'm going to create a variable tteokbokki. I'm creating the variable odeng, like this one. If the character is R, then I'm giving 1 plus to the variable ramyeon. If the character is O, then odeng will be added by 1. If the character is T, then tteokbokki will be added by 1. So that's the easy one for creating the for calculating the number of R or T or O. But now I'm going to use another way. I have one variable, tallies. In this variable, I create one list, 0. And then I multiply this list with 3. So do you know what does it mean? What is the result? Let's look at this one. I have 0 multiplied by 3. Then the result is there are 3 elements of 0 in a list. If I want to create 1 multiplied by 4, then I'm going to create a list, and there are 4 elements, and all elements start with the value of 1. And in this case, I'm going to create a list, and the list contains 3 elements. So there are 3 elements. Now the 3 element is representing the R, T, and O. So let's say this is the index 0, this is the index 1, and this is index 2. Then I'm going to do the loop. You know, a string can be represented as a list, or we can look at the position here. It means the R is in the position 0, O is in the position 0, O is in the O is the position 1, R O this is in the position 2, R is this in the position 3, and so on. Then you can do the for loop. For I in var, var means the variable, that is the argument. So this argument is from the string. If I So I'm going to do the loop for every character here. If I equals to R, then the tallies in index 0 will be added by 1. Else, if I equals to O, then the tallies at index 1 will be added by 1. Else, the tallies at index 2 will be added by 1. So we assume that the foot there are 3, R, O, and this is T. After you calculate for all the string, you will print the tallies. Now, when you print the tallies, you will see the number of R is 9, the number of O is 10, and the number of T is 16. Okay. Calculate this one. Oh, I think this one is not. This one is T. Why it is I? Instead of if you want to make it more precise, then you can have like else if I equals to T, then it is more precise to calculate how many R, how many O, and how many T. If it is not in the range of R, O, T, then you will not calculate it. Okay, so you can have the result like this one. So whenever you do with the array, yeah, you can create the array, and the size you can determine at the first. Usually we just make the array with empty. For example, yeah, if we have the score with empty list. So this empty list means I have only a list and I do not know how about the length of the list. But if you specify like this one, then it means you already determine the length of the list will be 3. If you specify like this one, then you already know that the length of the list will be 4. Okay, so that's the practice. Okay, let me get back to you with the multidimensional. So for the two-dimensional list, what we already learned on the previous chapter, it is one-dimensional list. The one-dimensional list, it means that we only have a list, and then you have the element. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and so on. If we have 2, then we will have 2 lists, or in the for loop, we have 2 for loops. So the motivation is like this one. Suppose we want to list the distance between 2 major cities in Korea. I want to know what is the distance between Seoul and Busan. Then you can see, okay, maybe it is in the kilometer. So the distance between Seoul and Busan is 325 kilometers. Seoul to Seoul, of course, it is 0. Okay, we don't have any distance. What about Seoul to Daegu? Okay, this is the value 280. Seoul to Gwangju 270, for example. Seoul to Daejeon 140. Seoul to Jeonju 195. So this kind of data you can make into a representation in the form of two-dimensional array. Okay. So we are going to look at the details how to create these two-dimensional arrays. If you see this data, Seoul we have the value which is 0, 325, 280, 270, 140, 195. And we can represent this one as one list. And this one list is inside another list. So we have a list and we define a list of distance from Seoul. So this is a list of distance from Seoul. The other is a list of distance from Busan. The next is a list of distance from Daegu. Next is a list of distance from Gwangju, and so on. Okay. So we have this kind of format, and let's take a look on the details. So we are going to look at this detail, how we can see the two-dimensional list, and then how we can access the element. So every element that we have in the two-dimensional list, for example, the row and the column. Okay. And we are going to look at some operations. For example, how to display the list, how to sum all the elements, how to find the minimum, how to find the maximum, okay, how to do the random shuffling. And later on, we will look at the example how to pass the two-dimensional list to function, and then how to write a program with some example like the grading multiple choice question. And yeah, we will take a look on the multi-dimensional list. Two-dimensional list, as I show you in the early part. Let's suppose I have a variable matrix. So I have a list. I have a list here. So this is a collection of lists. This is a collection of lists where the first list, it is in the index 0. The second list, it is in the index 1. The third list, it is in index 2, and so on. Now, if it is the index 0, how can we access the data in this position? You already learned the basic concept. Okay, we can do the matrix at index 0. It means this one. And I'm going to access the index 0 of the column. Then you will have the index 0. This is the position of the row. And the index 0, this is the position of the column. Okay. Then how if I want to access this 9? This is the matrix at index 4, and this is in the column of index 2. So that's the way to deal with this two-dimensional list. Now let's take a look on the detail. When you want to create a matrix, so you can define the size. If you are creating the matrix 3 multiplied by 3, it means there are 3 lists as the rows, and there are 3 elements in each of the lists. If you are creating a matrix of 5 multiplied by 5, then you have 5 rows. So one of the row indicates a list, and you have 5 elements. What about if you want to create a matrix 5 multiplied by 4? Means you have list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in every of the list, you will have only 4 elements. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. How can we access the data on the matrix? Now, let's say I'm using the matrix. Okay, I'm using the matrix, this one. I'm using the matrix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then, if I call the matrix 0, as you know, the matrix 0 means the list in the first row. So the data will be 1, 2, 3. If we call the matrix at the index 1, then this is the second row, 4, 5, 6. If we call the matrix index 2, then this is the data in the third row, which is 7, 8, 9. And if you want to look at the element of the matrix, for example, 1, so you can access the matrix 0, 0. Then you will get a particular value of the matrix. And if you want to access the position 2, 1. So this is the row index 2 and the column index 1. Then you can get the value 8. Okay, so let's see with the matrix. We have a list, okay, and then inside the list there is another list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 3 multiplied by 3. And this is 5 multiplied by 5. There is a list, and inside the list we have another list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 lists. If you want to access the rows, you can just access the index. The index 0 means the row at index 0, and the data is 1, 2, 3. Okay, the data is 1, 2, 3. In the index 1 is 4, 5, 6. In the index 2 it is 7, 8, 9. If you want to access the cell of each row, you can just call the matrix 0, 0. It means the value is 1. Call, okay. Matrix 0, 0 means the index of row is 0 and the index of column is 0. If we call matrix 2, 1, then it is the row index 2 and the column index 1. So the data is 8. Now we can create the matrix. We can create the matrix by our own. It means you can determine the value. For example, in this case, we can initialize the list with the input values. The user need to do the input about the matrix size. So the matrix size means I want to know how many rows and how many columns. And then I'm going to put the elements on every of the row and the column. The output will be the matrix. So we have this sequence. Enter the number of rows. If you input 3, then there will be 3 rows. And enter the number of columns. If you input 3, then there will be 3 columns. Then the matrix will be 3 multiplied by 3. So you can ask the user to input every of the element. If it is a 3 multiplied by 3 matrix, then there will be 9 elements. So you can ask the users to input 9 numbers. So enter an element and press enter. 1. Enter an element and press enter. 2, 3, and so on. Then after we input those values, we can print this metric and the result will be like this one. Now first, let's make the code. So the matrix will be started with empty list. Matrix empty list. And then ask the user how many rows. You will ask the user the number of rows. I'm using the eval to check the input from the users. If the input is number, then it is automatically the data will be a number. And the number of columns. So let's ask the user to input the number of columns. In the for loop, there will be two for loops. The first for loop, it is for the row. So I'm going to each of the row from index 0 until the number of rows. If there are 3 rows, it means I'm going to start from index 0 and then it will go to index 1 and then it will go to index 2. Okay. So if the row there are 3, then I will go from 0 until 3. And the index will start from 0 and it goes to 3 minus 1. This is the 2. Now I'm going to put one empty element. What is it? So for every list, there will be another list inside. Then I'm append an empty list to indicate the element of the row index 0. In the row index 0, I'm going to have an empty list and then I'm going to use this empty list to fill in the next particular column, in the next particular column, in next particular column. So the column in the range of 0 until the number of columns, we will take a look. If the column equals to 3, then it will start from 0, goes to index 1, goes to index 2. Okay. Then for every of the value, we need to enter an element. The element that we enter, it will go to the value, and the value will be append into the matrix in the position of row. In the position of row means this row. So if I have one list, and then after I create a new empty list, here we input a value. So the value will be inserted into this position, row. Then this is the empty list that we have. Whenever we have a new value, we will put here. If we have another value, when this is 0, this is the value at index 0. When the column equals to 1, then there will be another value, let's say 2. When the index of column equals to 2, then there will be another value, which is, for example, 3. After we finish this one, then we will go to the next row. The next row means row equals to 1. Originally, the row equals to 0. And then we have another new empty row. Then we will get a new empty row. After we have a new empty row, we again do the loop from 0 until the number of columns. So the number of columns, let's suppose there are 3 columns. we start from 0 and then go to the index 1, go to the index 2. Again, we will input one by one. The first input, it will be in the matrix on the position row, which is in the index 1, and we append the value. Let's say we input 4, then it will be in this position. Now I'm going to put another value, which is 5, for example, then it will be in this position. I append another value, let's say 6, so it will be in this position. After we finish until 3 columns, then we will get back to this loop. Now the row becomes 2. When row becomes 2, then we go again to this statement. We append a new empty list. This new empty list, and then we go to the column section. The column will be from 0, 1, and 2. So the value will be input by the user, and then we have, let's say the value is 7, it will be in index 0 in the row 2. And then let's say the next value is 8, then we input 8 in the position of index 1. And then let's say the next value is 9, we have the next value is 9 in the index 2. So this is the flow of this code. At the end, we just print the matrix. Now you can have your own matrix. Let's suppose let's make the row is 3 and the column is 2. Is it possible? Of course possible, because it is the user input. And the loop will be based on the input, because I'm making 3 rows and 2 columns. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the matrix will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you make the code format, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a matrix with 3 rows and 2 columns. Next, how if we want to make a matrix and initialize the list with random value? First, let the user input the matrix size. For example, the row and the column. The matrix elements are generated by random functions. So this value, and this value can be generated with random function. Using the same structure, we have additional statement, which is import random, and then we create an empty list. Now we ask the user, how many rows do you want and how many columns do you want? Let's suppose we have 3 rows and 3 columns. Then I'm using the for loop to do for every element. Again, in the row, in every row, let's append the empty list. And then for every element in the column, let's append the random value. So the random value here, I'm using a range of value between 0 until 100. So any value between 0 and 100 will be append into this cell. Enter the number of rows, for example, 3 and 4, for example. And the matrix will be 3 rows. This is this one, and this one. And we have 4 columns or 4 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And every element are random. Next, the matrix that I showed you before, it was a kind of flat. Flat is like this one. Everything is in one line. But how if I want to print this matrix in the form of a real matrix? So I'm using the row and column to show the matrix. And I can use the for loop. I can use the for loop to show the matrix. At first, let's look based on the row. Based on the row, I have the row starting from index 0 until the length of the matrix. So what is the length of the matrix? It is the length of the array. Okay, let's suppose we are using this matrix. The length of the matrix means we have 1, 2, 3. Because we have 3 values. In the index 0, we have another list. And the list in the index 0, there are 3 elements. So when you want to go to the column, you can start from the index 0, and then we go to each of the index by looking at the length of the matrix at the index of the row. Then we can print the row and the column. So the row is the index of the row and column is the index of the column. Let's put everything in the same line. So we have n equals to space. After we print everything in the same line, after we finish with this for loop, let's go to the next line. So we go to the next line for the second row. And then we go to the next line for the third row. So let's see if I have the matrix. Okay, I have the matrix from here. Okay, I create the matrix from this random. Let me check. Okay. And previously, I created a matrix of 3 and 4. Okay, 3 rows and 4 columns. And I can show the matrix. We have 3 rows and 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every of the cell will be split by the space. In the matrix, there are some matrix processing. For example, you can do the summation for the total elements. You can do the summation of each column of the matrix. You can do the summation of each row of a matrix, or you can sum of 2 matrices. So let's do the first one. How if we want to sum all matrix elements? Sum all the matrix elements. So every time we visit an element, do summation process. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can print this matrix it means you can access the matrix. So I want to know what is the total score of the elements in this matrix. Then the total will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9. So how can we do the code? Then just use the for loop. Okay. We have this matrix. Let's make a new variable, which is total. And then we will do the for loop. The first for loop is to go into the row. The row will be from 0 until the length of the matrix. And then we go to the column again. This is from 0 until the length of the matrix of the particular row. And then we do the column. So the total will be plus equal to the matrix row column. So whenever we access this data, let's do the addition and put the value in the variable total. When we access this one, plus this value into the variable total. When we access this data, plus into the variable total. When we access this data, plus, plus, plus. And when we finish until all the numbers, we can get the total. So we can print the total is 45. The total is 45. Now, there is another question. I want to sum the elements by the column. So I have row and I have column. I want to only do the addition or the summation on the column aspect. So the column 0, it means 1 plus 4 plus 7. Column 1 is 2 plus 5 plus 8. Column 2, 3 plus 6 plus 9. Then you will show this result 12, 15, and 18. How can we do this? Now, we will do something different with the loop. We have this matrix. We have this element. We have this element. And we have this element. In the column 1, it means we want to add 1 plus 4 plus 7. So we will split the for loop in different ways. At first, we always use row and then column for the for loop. First for loop is to check every row, and the second for loop is to check every column. Because now the task is to do the summation of each column, let's change the order. Now, let's do the for loop starting from the column. From the column, I'm going to start from 0 until the length of matrix 0. The length of the matrix 0 means this is the matrix 0, and the length is 1, 2. In this code, we assume that the matrix is always the same length. It means, for example, in the row index 0, the length is 3. This is 3, and this is 3. If those element have the same length, then we can use this one. Okay. Now let's see. The column starting from index 0 until the length of the matrix at index 0. It means we are going to loop from index 0 until 3. And then for every of the row, we will do the range from the index 0 until the length of the matrix. Now we have the column equals to 0. Okay, column equals to 0. When we enter here, the row equals to 0. We do the summation total. Oh, wait, I think this. Oh, something wrong. Wait a moment. This is not the total. This one. I need to make the total equals to 0. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, there should be one more statement. Total equals to 0. It means that whenever I calculate the total, so the total at the first time started from 0, and then this total will run for every of the column. So let's see if the column equals to 0 and the row equals to 0. Okay. Then we will do the total, which is the row column. So we have the matrix index 0 and the column 0. So we use this one. The row is looping from 0 until the length of the matrix, which is 3. Then the first will be 0 and 0, matrix 0, 0. And then we will do the addition. Now the row will go to the next value, which is 1. Then we will do the plus with the matrix at index row, which is 1, and the column is still 0. Matrix row 1, it means this one, and the column index 0, which is 4. Plus, we go to the next row, which is 2. Then we will do the addition matrix index 2, 2, and the column is 0. So we do the addition of matrix 0, 0, matrix 1, 0, and matrix 2, 0, and we show the total. So sum for the column 0 is 1 plus 4 plus 7. Okay, so the result is 12. So the next, I think I make the mistake in this case. Before it is 12, 15, and 18. So this one is 15. This one is 18. So the 18, the 15 means we will do the addition 2 plus 5 plus 8. And then this 18 means 3 plus 6 plus 9. We make the opposite of column and row in order to get the column wise. Okay, let me stop here. Let's have a break. Okay, I will continue after the break.